You're listening to the Geriatric Mamas Podcast with Jessica Raziri
and Sonia Tapley.
Welcome to our new studio.
And our new uniform, which is pajamas. I could get used to this.
Yeah, not too bad.
Live from Salem. I don't know why all of a sudden the second we hit recording, my voice started getting all scratchy.
I don't know. My voice is scratchy too. Were we talking that much last night?
I mean, probably.
We were just chatty Cathy's.
Yeah, we're just a couple of chatty Cathy's. So we are just kind of winging it this episode. We usually have like a nice outline that we follow. We usually have some order to this, and we have a list. We have a list of topics that we're going to touch on, which is great. But primarily, we're going to be recapping our trip here. Yeah. Want to take it away, Sonia?
I mean, we came here for Jessica's birthday weekend. How has your birthday weekend been so
It's
far?
been so fun.
Good.
Yes, it's been a really fun weekend. Just like, I mean, obviously, everybody knows, like, I'm obsessed with my child. But, like, just getting away and, like, having that me time and, like, having a bed to myself that I haven't had a bed to myself in a hot minute. Yeah. And just, I mean, the food. I feel like I have, like, the biggest face right now because it's just, I've been eating my way through Salem. It's just been delicious.
My moon face is ripe.
Yeah. My moon face is just doing the absolute most right now.
We've been adding a lot of salt to stuff too, I noticed. Yeah. So we're kind of swollen. It's the last day.
It is the last day.
Thank God, because we might not fit into our pants if we stayed here for like one more day.
No. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at my outfit that I'm supposed to be wearing later, and I'm like, that's going to be cute. Trying to get that on. We'll see how that goes. Not really sure about that, but it's fine. We'll figure it out.
Maybe we'll have to like do a little more walking than driving.
Yeah. So before we jump in talking about our trip, we want to acknowledge something that's in the news right now. Yeah. It's crazy. And I think it's any IVF woman's worst nightmare.
Complete worst nightmare, yeah.
It's the woman who was inseminated with the wrong embryo during IVF.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically just transferred someone else's embryo.
And she had gone to a sperm bank, and so she's a white woman, and she'd gone to the sperm bank, and she had chosen the profile and the person that she had chosen based on, like, you know, his, like, background and health and everything, and, like, the way that he was described as he's a white man. And when the child was born, it was this beautiful African-American baby. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
Yes. And so the news reporter, when they were talking to her, like, what was the first thing? She's just like, well, I mean, the first thing I thought was, like, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's beautiful.
Right.
She's like, and she had, like, a sunken feeling that, like, something wasn't right.
Right.
But then she was like, well, maybe there's, like, distant, I don't know, like, DNA can work in weird ways, right? And so she was really hanging on to hope. But then they did a test and it came back with, like, her absolute worst fear was that he wasn't her child. So you go through IVF, you spend all this money, you carry this baby for 9 months, you give birth to this baby, you go through all that pain and everything, and then this baby's here, he's in your arms, and then I feel like I'm going to cry. She had to give the baby back. She had to give the baby to the parents.
So the IVF facility must have known who the biological parents were.
They figured it out, through, like, DNA. They were able to trace it down to where he belonged, and it's just absolutely devastating. I can't even imagine what this woman is going through. She has just, like, longed for a child. She finally gets her child, and then he's, like, taken away from her. Like, I don't even know. Like, I can't even wrap my head around what that feels like. Like,
I wonder what she's going to do now. I'm sure, like, they've talked about it or whatever, but I wonder if she's going to try and, like, have her own baby, like, go through the process again.
Yeah. I mean, how do you trust that, you know? And the IVF center was just like, we want to ensure our patients that they understand that this is an isolated incident and this isn't normal. And it's like, okay, maybe that's true, but now that, like, doubt and that fear is out there.
Right.
So it's like, what additional measures are you going to take to ensure that that does not happen again? Because that is, like, I'm sorry, fucked up.
Yeah, it's really, really messed up. I mean, yeah, they're gonna, like, everyone now is gonna be, like, triple check to make sure this is the right embryo.
I am like, I'm not trying to make this like about me, but it just reminded me. I remember in the hospital, I kept getting mad at the nurses because they kept trying to take Hayden to the nursery.
Yeah.
They're like, you need your rest, you need your rest. And I'm like, I will figure out my rest. Like, I'm a big girl. I can figure this out, but you are not taking my child. Like, I grew up watching Lifetime movies with the craziest stories of like, they switch the baby or they kidnap the baby or you whatever. And I'm just like, I wasn't even going to have it. I'm like, no, you are staying in this room with me. You're not going to be swapped for another child. Like, no, you are mine. You're not going anywhere.
Right. Exactly.
But this is a whole other level. It's like,
yeah. Yeah. No, I can't imagine. It's like, it's one of those stories that you're just like, is that even real?
It doesn't seem real. It seems like something that would have, like something that Ryan Murphy would have written into like American Horror Story or something. Like, it doesn't seem like,
yeah.
Mamas, I love a full and silky texture in my face creams because they feel so healing and comforting to my dry, thirsty skin. Well, the award-winning, best-selling, lightweight moisture release water cream by Honest Beauty called Hydrogel Cream refreshes and cools my skin on application and leaves a dewy finish. As I mentioned on the Hope episode, Kathy's Story, I love mixing Hydrogel Cream into my foundation for a healthy-looking glow. Infused with jojoba and squalene to help hydrate and soothe thirst, plus 2 sizes of hyaluronic acid to help soften and firm, reducing the appearance of fine lines. Honest Beauty's Hydrogel Cream will provide a beautiful glow for very dry skin. We're leaving the link below in our show notes. Drink up, mamas.
Mamas, I want to have rosé all day, have fun, and let myself live a little without feeling drunk or feeling hungover the next day. So I treat myself by adding rosé tinted glasses to my sparkling water or lemonade. If you're like me and you're looking for calm daytime energy while feeling alert, present, and uplifted because, well, you know, you're a mom now. Adaptogenic and antioxidant-rich ingredients make rosé tinted glasses from Apothecary great for those battling feelings of stress and looking to curb signs of aging with improved skin tone and moisture. Its tincture format makes it easy to drop wherever you're making it. It's perfect for busy working moms, busy stay-at-home moms who are looking for mood and energy support on the go. We're leaving a link below and in our show notes. So cheers, mamas!
well, speaking about American
Horror
Story, we are pretty sure that we possibly encountered a serial killer last night.
Oh my gosh. We were leaving our dinner restaurant, which was like right across the street from the place that we were going. We're like on our way into this, it's like a speakeasy. And we're on our way in, and I see this guy come out of like wherever. It was like probably the bar upstairs or something. I saw him come out, and he just looked really creepy, and I just was kind of like, let's stay over here.
He had like cotton candy hair. Like he literally looked like a Q-tip. Like he was just like kind of strung out looking.
Yeah,
like
he didn't look like a happy person. He looked kind of like angry or like sad or depressed, and just the vibe was definitely off. And he also, like, I think it might have been angry because like his eyebrows were like down, like, you know, like the serial killer vibe.
Yeah.
And so we get in the bar, and like I'm happy we're like in there, we're safe, like all this, and we sit down, and then 2 minutes later I look over to my left, and he's sitting 2 chairs away from us, like at the bar.
And you started freaking out, and I remember being like, I don't understand why she's like so concerned about this dude. Like, yeah, he's weird looking, but I didn't see him outside.
Yeah.
So like I didn't see him until we were in the bar.
Yeah.
And so like you were like, oh my God, he's getting closer. He's getting closer. And I'm like, okay, like he's a weirdo, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I started focusing more. Like he was just sitting there and staring straight. Like I think he was like I think he was stoned off his ass.
He probably
like I think he was high AF.
Mm-hmm.
And he was literally just sitting upright, staring straight ahead at the bar. Not like a normal person when they're sitting. They're like looking down, maybe on their phone. They're looking around the room. They're kind of like relaxed. And he was like upright, staring straight, like
like weird and creepy.
It was really weird.
And so we're just hanging out, like having our drinks or whatever, kind of taking our attention away and like just getting into like whatever we were talking about. And a couple comes in and they wanted to sit next to each other, but there wasn't enough seats at the bar for them to like sit next to each other. And this guy was sitting between two empty seats. So he ended up coming and like sitting right next to me. And the couple sat down and they were like, oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much for doing that. You didn't have to do that. And he was like, oh, yeah, no. And so then I'm like really freaking out because I'm like, why is he sitting?
Yeah, she's saying this stuff to me and I see over her shoulder in the corner of my eye, I'm watching him and he literally can hear her. Because you weren't very quiet.
No.
Like the whole time she's like, oh my God, he's a serial killer. I'm pretty sure he's a serial killer. He's a serial killer. Why is he's so weird. He's so next to me. I don't understand. And I'm literally watching this guy and he's still looking straight forward, but I see it's like his eyes are shifted towards Sonia. So he's kind of just like looking out the side of his eye, like definitely paying attention, definitely like focused in on like what she's saying. So then he's like, okay, they're clearly like, you know,
creeped out.
They're creeped out, so I'm gonna warm them up. And then he like turns around and he's like, excuse me, ladies. So first of all, they bring him this like big plate of like pork nachos, basically. It's like pulled pork. It's this pile of like meat on chips, basically. And he like all of a sudden goes, excuse me, ladies, do you want any of my beef? He didn't say that.
He goes, do you want any of my nachos?
You want any of my nachos? And we're like, oh, we're good. He's like, I'm not going to eat all these, so if you'd like some. Like, he was trying to be nice, but it was just like, he literally, like, it was like a switch because he went from, like, just stone cold staring to, like, do you want some of my nachos? And it was
now
like,
we sound like total bitches because not only has this guy gotten up and moved so that a couple can sit next to each other, he's also offering us his food.
Yeah, and then he also complimented us. He said that we looked 24 and 25.
Yeah.
The questions he asked us, though, he asked the questions that, like, you don't ask people. He goes, who did you vote for? And we were like, I was like, who did you vote for? And then, so we started there. And then he goes, what year did you graduate high school? And we're just like, 2001. He's like, what? No way. And then he's like, I graduated 2014. And we're just like, Jesus. Okay, cool.
He was so young. We didn't really know.
Yeah. And then the bartender, as we were like hashing out, getting ready to leave, she like gave him a weird face and then she made eye contact with us and she's like, be safe, ladies. And Sonia and I just kind of look at each other like, was that a sign?
Right.
And then she made a point to say, be safe again.
Yeah, she said it twice. And then, of course, that freaked us out again.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't as creeped out anymore.
No.
And then she creeped us out again. And
yeah. And then we went to leave through like a different entrance or exit than like we came in because we thought we'd like throw him off if he was like following us. And of course that part of the bar was closed. So we weren't able to leave that side. And we're just like, oh, okay. We're just trying to avoid somebody. They're like, do you want somebody to walk you out? And I'm sitting here giving them the eyes of like, yes. And Sonia's like, no, we're good. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, we're great.
Because I was like, I felt bad.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know like how bad to feel. Like, I was just like, I don't know. Because we were basically less than a block away from
I kept like looking back as we were walking and I don't know. He gave me the vibes of Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
The show on Netflix. Well, obviously we know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, but on Netflix there's a scripted show with, I forgot his name, but he's the dude that's in American Horror Story. Actually, I think Ryan Murphy produced, directed, or whatever the fuck he does. Dahmer as well. And it's like so creepy. He does such a good job. But that's the one thing about like Dahmer. He's just like so awkward. Like his social cues are just like off and he really creeped people out.
Yeah.
And I was just getting those vibes.
Yeah.
Like he was just such a creepy little dude.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Because like, again, like why was he asking like point blank, who did you vote for? Like these are the things you, like it's well known you don't ask those things.
Yeah.
Especially with the climate we've got going on right now.
Yeah, it was really weird. He had no chill.
Right.
With his like Q-tip head. It was just very strange. It was a very, very strange encounter.
Yeah.
Speaking about crazy hair, what about
my
Angela?
God.
Should we tell them about Angela? Sonia
no.
almost lost it yesterday.
I did lose it. We went to the House of the Seven Gables, and they do tours. First of all, we didn't really know why we were there. Like, we were trying to do, like, witchy, like...
I mean, it came up as, like, it came up several times.
Yeah.
It's like, you're here, you should see this.
Right.
I'm glad we did. I
And
love old buildings.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It's from, like, what, like the 1600s?
Right.
Like, the coolest thing.
Right.
So this guy, so we, like, decide to, like, pay for this tour. It's, like, a 45-minute tour. And so we're in the lineup and we're waiting. And all of a sudden, this guy, homeboy, comes out. He's, like, wearing, like, the tightest pants. He looked like a cupcake.
It's freezing cold and windy, and he's wearing a t-shirt and khakis.
And, like, these pants were, like, 5 sizes too tight, too small for him. And his, like, listen, I'm not trying to body shame. It's going to sound like I'm body shaming. It's just I don't understand why you don't just wear clothes that fit you.
Right.
Like, that's a pet peeve of mine. And he's spilling out. He's wearing a t-shirt. And he just has this, like, one, like...
He has this one piece of hair that's just sticking. It's, like, curly hair. And it's, like, sticking straight up.
He had this, like, weird thing about him where when he would talk, he'd, like, bobble his head, move it all around, all over the place. And he, like... So the hair, I named it Angela. I nicknamed the little coiffed or whatever it was that was just, like, rocking out. It was the party strand. I named her Angela because she was just like, I don't know, it just seemed like a good name. And Sonia,
so
I look over.
Started talking.
Sonia loses her shit.
I just started, like,
I can't.
The atmosphere in the room in general was a little bit comical, and then you add the fact that every time he, like, spoke a word, his head was bobbing around and his hair was just flapping in the wind, and I just, like, lost it. I had to go around the corner.
She was, like, crying, laughing. She's like, I'm gonna need a minute. I'm like, and everybody in the tour, it was so obvious. We were like, clearly laughing at this guy. I'm like, sorry.
Well, I was also looking around the room at all the people.
There was a lot.
There was a lot happening. And then you look around the room and everyone's just trying to keep a straight face. And they were doing a really good job.
Yeah, we
and
were.
I was pretty proud of everyone.
I wouldn't want to play poker with any of them.
No.
They would smoke us.
Yeah. I would clearly be the first out.
Yeah.
I was the first out. So that was pretty good. And then we went to go eat at this place that smelled like fish.
Wait, though, before that, oh my God, we had, like, the best brunch.
Oh,
Where was that? What was it called?
Salem's Retreat.
Salem's Retreat. Oh my God. It was like, I have not enjoyed a brunch like that in a very long time.
It was so good.
It was delicious. I got crab cake, eggs Benedict. Oh my God. It was just, and then they had homemade corned beef hash, which was like, I'm like mouth was watering. And they had, like, the best Bloody Mary. It was like this tower of,
Bloody
like,
Mary was so good.
Bacon and shrimp and cheese and olives and pickle, and you're just like, yes, all of the things. We overate. It was a lot. But
I finished all of my Benedict, and I only needed, like, half of it. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? It's so good.
Hence the giant cankles that are happening today.
Yeah, pretty bad, but it was delicious.
It was definitely well worth it.
It's my favorite thing to order. I get Irish Benedict pretty much every time I see it on the menu. And, like, I don't know, it was just, there was something about it that was just perfection.
It was so good. And then we went to the other place. So, yeah, we did brunch. We went to the House of Seven Gables. And then we went to this, like, bar that literally, I don't know if it, like, would have been as bad if we weren't so hungover. But it was, like.
It was bad.
It literally smelled like a brothel.
Yeah, it was
I'm sorry, but it was
I
just
think
like,
one of their specialties was, like, fish and chips. And, like, a lot of people ordered
rancid
the fish
vagina.
and chips. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It's one of their specials.
And then, like, every time someone would walk by, there would be, like, a gust of wind.
Yeah.
And we had to go. We had to go. We had, like, beer that was really
good. The beer was really good, but it was a lot. There was a lot happening in my nose. So then we go back. We have time before we have to start getting ready for dinner. I feel like this whole trip is just based around food, basically.
Yeah. Well, those are the appointments, I guess, we made.
Yeah, they are. And so we decided to go see a psychic medium that was across the street.
Yeah.
And okay, I will have Sonia go first and explain some highlights of that experience, because your reading was like amazing. Like, I'm so happy you got that.
Yeah.
Mine kind of felt a little all over the place, but there were some parts that I was like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, no. So I wasn't like, my mind was still in the palm reading. So I was like, kind of like, what are we getting when we go to this? I wasn't really sure what we were doing. And then I looked it up and it was like, she's probably going to be able to channel people who have died. And I was like, oh, okay. And like immediately I'm thinking my mom and my grandfather are like the two people that I really would love to hear from. So we get in the room and I accidentally spit, like, I guess you're not supposed to say who you want to channel, but I was like, she's like, do you have anyone who is passed that you would like to channel? And instead of just saying yes, I was like, yes, my mom, my grandfather. She's like, oh, you're not supposed to tell me that. But she's like, but I'll probably forget like pretty quickly, because once the thoughts start coming in and the visions and all of that, then I won't remember. And so I was like, okay. So yeah, if you ever go to a psychic medium, do not immediately say who you're trying to channel.
But I mean, I feel like saying that would suggest that like she cheated because she knew. But the things that came out in this,
there's no way for her to know.
There's no way for her to know any of this stuff.
Right.
Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was so crazy. So she basically, it got started off like a little bit slow because she's like trying to get acquainted with her thoughts and like what's going on. But she brought up so many things from both my mom and my grandfather, and even from like one of my great grandmothers. But she knew, like, my mom was an avid blueberry picker, and then also she liked to decorate the house in everything like blueberry color. And then she, like, all of her little towels and her little like oven mitts and all of that had blueberries all over it. And she was like, I'm getting blueberries and pineapple, but really, like, blueberries was very prominent. And so, of course, I was like, oh my God. I was thinking, like, obviously she knows it's my mom. And then, like, my mom was diabetic. She was type 1 diabetic. And I remember one time, it was the first time I had ever had to call the ambulance for her. Was she had eaten a bunch of pineapple salsa, and she loved the stuff. It was like piled high on her tacos.
That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, she was like obsessed. And so she had taken her insulin for what she thought was the right amount for like a really, really sweet treat. So like she took it like for if she ate a Snickers bar, and really she had just eaten a bunch of pineapple. And so she ended up in like a diabetic almost like coma. Ugh. She like passed out and she was just like not there. And so I had to call the ambulance, and that was literally the first time I had ever had to do that. Like, obviously early in her life, other people like my grandparents had to do that, but I had never experienced it. So it was a very prominent time for me with my mom's diabetes. And then, so the blueberry thing was crazy. The pineapple thing was crazy. She mentioned that my mom may have liked to knit, but there was like a reason kind of. And she was like, did your mom like to knit? And I was like, I mean, towards the end, she knit a blanket for the grandkids that she wasn't gonna meet. And she's like, yeah, and you're not using it.
That's so Linda. Getting so pissed.
I was like floored, because like my mom's biggest pet peeve was like when she would buy something for you or she would make something for you and you wouldn't use it. And the reason obviously why we don't use it is because we didn't want Annabelle or anyone to like
destroy it. You wanted it to like,
right.
Yeah.
Like, she's all into her babies, and she has every single blanket out at all times covering her babies up to go to sleep. She's got 100 babies. So like I put the blankets like that were special away so they weren't just all over the place. So anyway, it was funny because it was clear that my mom was not impressed.
Right.
And then I have my mom's jewelry, and there was like one ring in particular that was really special to me. I remember the day she got it, and like she went out shopping. It was like a present to herself. Very important piece of jewelry, and it's also beautiful. And the psychic told me that my mom wants me to wear her ring in remembrance of her. And I was like, oh my God. And I have to go get it sized. Like, the reason why I don't wear it is because I haven't gotten it sized. And my mom is pissed about that, I guess. So, clearly.
Linda.
She's like, like, you made a point of having this ring, Sonia, so you should
you need to wear it.
You should probably wear it. And then my mom, when she knew, you know, she was going to kind of like be going soon, she was having a difficult time deciding where she wanted to be buried. And I know this is really personal information, but she was having a difficult time deciding where she wanted to be buried. And there's this beautiful, beautiful cemetery in the town where Jessica grew up, and it's just covered in daffodils. It's like in the spring between like March and April, it's just covered. And a lot of people go there just to like have picnics out by the daffodils and all this stuff. So my mom really, really loved that place. She wanted, like, if she had her way, she would have been buried there, but then she also wanted to be near the family. So ultimately, she ended up deciding that she wanted to be laid to rest with the family. And so we had a ton of daffodils at her funeral. It was this whole thing. And then my grandfather's favorite flowers were always roses, red roses. And then my mom and I had this thing when we were little. She loved going out searching for flowers, and her favorite one was lily of the valley because they smell so good.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Ooh, I smell them." And we just had like a big thing with lily of the valley. And so at the end, at the very end, I'm going to play it for you.
This is crazy.
I'm going to play the very end of my psychic reading.
She says you got to put some daffodils and roses together and see how beautiful they look, and lily of the valley, and allow the scents to permeate and blow good wishes to you, and to know that I love you always and forevermore. So I hope that helps you and leave you with the blessings of the Spirit. I'm sorry.
Wow. Like, that is so specific.
Right.
It's not just like she could have said flowers.
Right.
But the fact that she was very, very specific with the types of flowers is like, what?
And you gotta put some daffodils down. Like, you gotta plant some daffodils. Like, just the way that she was, like, very solid in that. And, like, to be honest with you, like, I've always wanted to have a flower garden, but I just didn't know what I wanted to plant.
Well, now you know.
Right.
Now you know what to plant.
Exactly.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is so crazy. But that was, like, such a beautiful reading because it validated that she's with you at all times. It gave you, it's kind of just like, it's a hug, essentially. I feel like yours was a hug.
Hey mamas, are you someone who's 35 plus and struggled with fertility, endured a miscarriage, experienced heartbreaking fostering or adoption challenges, or were perhaps flat out told by a doctor that you will never conceive naturally, and despite the odds eventually found your happy ending by becoming a mama?
Send us your story at geriatricmamas.com. We would love to feature your journey to motherhood on a future Geriatric Mamas episode.
Mine started off good. It started off a little slow, like you said. I think that's normal. And it was evident that my meme came through for me. And one of the things that she was saying where I kind of just like lost it was because she's like, I see cans everywhere, like vegetables, like canned vegetables. And I literally started crying because I was like, oh my God, like my Meme and Pepe, they had a garden and they would can. They were all about canning their tomatoes. And she's like, I see her making like soup. She mentioned that she was wanted to teach some of the kids how to, make some of her recipes, and none of them really took her up on it. And I'm just like, yeah. And then she said something about like, she says she's gonna spank you in the bum, and Meme would always say, I'm gonna spank your fanny. Like that was always her thing. And so it's like some of the things that she was saying, she sounded like Meme, and I was like, oh my God, like that's totally her.
Yeah.
And one of the things she had said, and this is so crazy because it's the second reading that I've had where they've mentioned this, and I just feel so validated right now because I think I was gaslighting myself and thinking that I was just crazy, but the tarot reader said that you have what I call spooky child syndrome, where you probably like could see things and whatever. And this lady again validated that. So I'm gonna play this part that I thought was just kind of crazy.
Did you see ghosts as a kid?
Yes,
Oh,
I did.
so you have that gift. You stifled it.
Yeah,
You shut it off. But you wouldn't mind having it back, would you?
I wouldn't, no.
So ask Spirit to bring it back and release the energy that's holding. You want me to move it? It looks like it's ready to move. You've been trying hard, but the timing hasn't been right. Now remember, you may not see them standing in the corner. but they might come in and whisper in your ear or give you a message, or you might just see them in your mind's eye.
Okay.
But I'm also hearing you hear noise, and if you don't want the noise, you can't have it both ways.
Okay.
So you either have it or you don't. Always remember you're in command. You can send it away. You're in charge. So you have power over them. Call in your master guides, teachers, and the wisdom healers. Protect your energy with a prayer of protection always, and always be guided by the light. Don't assume that everybody that comes to you without permission is of the highest and best. So always protect your energy, and that way you know that at least you put out the intention. Because there are wandering souls who come around you because of your light, because you have the power to send them to the other side. So always remember that too, and always clear yourself on a regular basis, because you're very emotional, and sometimes the emotion is not yours, it's just amplified because of all the stress you're under and other people that you're dealing with.
So, and that was another thing too that she had said from the start, because she does the whole thing of like, and we're going to release or whatever. And she was just like, oh my gosh, like from the very beginning, she's just like, I'm picking up on like you like hold on to like a lot of emotions. Like you pick up like everybody's like emotions around you, which like I do feel that. I do that. So that stuff was just validating, because there's been parts where I literally like sometimes I'm like, I think I'm just crazy. Like I think I'm just crazy. And so she, like, I literally am like gaslighting myself, but she was like validating. So mine was kind of like a little bit all over the place. I liked that. I liked the parts about Meme. Where I think it went wrong was when I tried steering it in a certain direction, and I should have just let it like just go organically. And just I would absolutely want to do, I mean, we're gonna do something again today, but I think just let it happen. Whatever spirits want to say, let them say it, and whoever spirits want to be there, let them be there, and don't try to like force anything, because towards the end there's some parts where I was just like, I don't know, like it was, I don't know. Yours was amazing. Mine was good too. I'm happy with mine, but I'm just like, it was a little choppy.
How crazy. It's crazy because we did the palm reading and you were told the same thing.
I was told the same thing in the palm reading. So, and okay, can I tell you also last night, I didn't really sleep that well, because I was literally laying in bed, and like, first of all, I'm used to sleeping with white noise and everything. We didn't have any white noise.
I didn't turn the firecrackers on.
No.
Fire crackles.
And I'm laying there, and I'm just like, I felt like the kid from Sixth Sense under the blanket, and I'm looking around like, oh God, do I really want to see
Salem,
dead people?
Massachusetts, and I was just released from...
I was just released. There was apparently a block. I had asked her too after. I was just like, so like, did I like repress that? Did I block it? And she said that you could have. She's like, or maybe like one of your ancestors or your spirit guides, they saw that it was frightening you as a child, and they might have put a block up to protect you. And I'm just like, that is so crazy. Because there was an old house. It's a house that it was in Orchard Base. Well, it was Saco, but it was like Ocean Park Road. And there were two occasions that really stand out to me. One of them was, and I always thought that it was Santa Claus that I saw, but he was glowing. Like I came downstairs. It was around the holidays, but it wasn't like Christmas Eve or anything. But I came downstairs, and there was a man. He was like all red, and he was like glowing. And he turned around, and he looked at me, and then I looked at him, and then I just went back up to bed and went to sleep. And I chopped it up in my mind. It was like yesterday. I know what I saw, but I assumed it was Santa Claus. So like I believed way longer than I should have, because I was convinced I saw Santa Claus. And then there was another time where I had a sleepover. I think it was Kate spent the night or something, and we had bunk beds, and all of a sudden like the door opened, and this hand came around the door to like open the door, and I was like, did you guys see that? And they didn't see it. They didn't see the hand. And like,
so creepy.
And I think I brought this up to Kate like years later, and she's like, I don't remember that. And I'm like, Like, I remember that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, maybe I just had a big imagination. Maybe I just made it up. So, like, the fact that, like, 2 people were like, no, you weren't making it up. I'm like, oh, I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew it.
Definitely needed to hear that. And also to have it, like, removed if you really wanted to. Like, you know.
I know. I love how in the thing she's like, do you want me to remove it? I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah,
like,
let's do it. And then I'm literally thinking to myself, like, I don't know. I don't know. Do I? You tell me.
Funny. I'm just like so unsure, but like also kind of cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool, but I will report I have not seen anything.
Yeah. But if you do see Linda,
if I see Linda,
you have to ask her some questions. I'll give them to you.
I will.
Later.
Yeah, give me a list of questions to ask Linda. Be like, hold on, Linda, stay right there.
Right.
Let me just pull this up.
Yeah. It's been 10 years, so I'm hoping she's in like heaven or like crossed over, and she's not gonna be like, Jessica, send me over. What the hell?
Right.
I've been trying to talk to you.
I don't even. How am I? She's like, you have the gift to like let them pass. Like, how do I do that?
Right.
Do I just say like,
you could Google it.
Oh yeah, I need to Google.
We have some research
to
do.
Yeah. Clearly.
Oh, you know what we should talk about? We found out information about our past lives.
Oh, yes.
So we want to do the hypnotherapy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I have, again, on the Moon app, we talk about this. I feel like we've talked about the Moon app 3 weeks in a row or something at this point.
And Jessica still hasn't downloaded it.
Well, it's a lot to dive into. We're a little busy. But what I do is when I wake up in the morning, that's my time to get in. It's not like you've had that, like, time to really, it's a lot. So I was kind of like digging through the birth chart section, and I scrolled all the way down to the very bottom, which apparently I had never done, and it said life purpose for this birth chart, and I was like, oh wait, what's this? So I click in and I start Googling the words because there's some words in there that I like think I know, but I'm not sure. Sure enough, it's about your past life and your life purpose now. Because of like your karmic contracts and relationship, like all that stuff. Well, it doesn't mention relationships, unfortunately, but it does mention basically like work, personality, and stuff like that. So apparently Jessica and my birthdays and years line up to where we have the same like past life astrology and life purpose, basically.
It's crazy.
How insane is that?
Yeah. What are the odds?
Basically, in our past lives, we had Capricorn tendencies. And in our new life, we're supposed to kind of try to change into the opposite and become more Cancer-like. So in our past lives, we were possibly men or just... because the Capricorn tendency is like very masculine. Yeah. So we could have been like a monarch, like a female monarch that had a lot of responsibility and took it seriously. Or we could have been like men of high power. But in our past lives, we were like high power, high strung. We were very much about work and success. We weren't very nurturing. We were much more about social status. And in this life, one of our jobs is to live more by intuition than instruction, and to lean into a more nurturing side of life than work and power.
It's so cool.
And I feel like that is technically, for me, I feel like that is something that I have been recognizing, especially having a 3-year-old little girl. I've really, and like you have a 2-year-old little boy, I feel like that's definitely something that I've realized I need to lean more into. Yeah. And it's kind of exciting that like we're literally
it's so
being
exciting.
told.
What didn't you say on the way up here? And we can cut this. This is not true. Didn't you say on the way up here that there's only like a certain percentage of the world that has?
Yeah, so there's only 3 different, it's rare kind of for people to have this alignment. And there's only 3 different groups of people. Starting in the 1960s, there's like 2 years of the 1960s of people, 2 years in the 80s, and then like somewhere in the early 2000s of people who were born in this alignment.
And here we are.
Past life versus present, what we're supposed to be changing and doing and what our life purpose is. And of course, because we were Capricorns in our former life, we have talents in that category that we're bringing in now that are going to be helpful. But a lot of it is about change, and like our purpose is to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is so crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy.
Yeah, but I do wish, like, for the purposes of like relationships and more in-depth information, I think it would be really fun to go do like the hypnotherapy
Yes,
thing.
I want to do that so bad.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah. Because I feel like...
and I want to do that together.
Yeah.
I hope they like let us do it together.
Yeah, well, it's different because our energies could have gotten confused because we have different people who've passed away in our lives.
Yeah.
So for the psychic medium, we weren't allowed to be in the room together.
Oh my God, Sonia's face when they were like, you can't be together. She was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
But then he made it better because he's like, you can record it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, good.
It totally makes sense because she's trying to channel.
It makes sense. That would have been way too much.
There would have been a lot of energy, and we wouldn't have, like, I would have known immediately when she started talking about blueberries and a ring and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would have known, but, like, you would have been racking your brain, like, who?
Yeah, and I'm going to play mine for my mom later today or tomorrow or whatever, because there's some things in there that I was, like, unsure of, but, like, because she mentioned something about he was a smoker, and I didn't think anybody was a smoker, but I think my grampy used to be a heavy smoker. I don't remember though. It would have been when I was really little. So I want to play it because she probably would be like, oh, that's this person. That's this person. She probably knows, but I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just tell me more about Meme.
It's so funny how she picked up on that. For people too, like the smoking and stuff. Like that was an immediate thing.
So today it's our last day. We are about to go to have another fabulous brunch.
Yeah.
We're gonna go eat more. And then gonna go explore. Hopefully go see the Hocus Pocus house, Max and Danny's house. I have to see it while I'm here. And probably do another psychic reading, do some more exploring, and then hit the road and head back to reality.
Yeah. Hopefully it's like a really good psychic reading. I can't have the expectation of like what happened yesterday.
I just like love, like, I feel like that was such a gift.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy. That was like the perfect gift. That was the perfect reading.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in next week. Your support is keeping the podcast going. You can help by following, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and especially by telling a friend to listen anywhere or watch on YouTube.
For more info, you can check out our website at geriatricmamas.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at geriatric_mamas, on YouTube at Geriatric Mamas, Twitter at Geriatric Mamas, and follow our group page on Facebook, Geriatric Mamas.
If you have a topic idea you'd like us to discuss, are interested in being a guest, or simply have a funny geriatric story to tell, you can go to geriatricmamas.com and hit be a guest or send us your story.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm so excited to eat more food and talk to ghosts.